Okay, who here hasn't been to space? Why? You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2, 1.
So we've talked at length, guys. You guys know we have talked at length about the Marvel Studios spoiler subreddit and the things that go on over there, the leaks that they release. You guys know this is the same people that do Wakanda Forever. They did Multiverse of Madness, No Way Home, Thor: Love and Thunder. They've done a lot of the leaks. They've done the Marvels one that we haven't gone over yet on the show, but they did the Marvels one and things like that. So they've got a lot of different things to say. And this least recent drop that they dropped about maybe 24 hours ago now, it's big, and we're going to get into that with you guys. So let's get into, let me pull this up, what they said here. And this is, again, coming from the Marvel Studios subreddit. There's a ton of stuff to get into. Slight spoiler warning. So if you guys are new here and or maybe you're not new here, you've been here and you don't want to know anything about spoilers, now is the time to exit, because it is a lot of spoilers coming up in this. Okay, now we've talked at length also about it being no secret that Phase 4 had its issues. But I think one of the biggest issues that we've also discussed was the quantity over quality. I felt, and I'm sure a lot of you guys felt from the conversations we've had, that Marvel put a lot of emphasis over quality and put it all into quantity. It seems like they were pumping out so many different projects. As I said, I've talked to you guys about before also, within the past 2 years for Phase 4, we got 19 Marvel projects, where in the past we were getting like maybe 3 a year or 4 a year. Well, we got 19 projects within these past 2 years. And that's just putting that emphasis on the quantity aspect over the quality. Over the quality aspect. Because as you guys know, it's no secret, Phase 4 was not nobody was checking or looking for Phase 4. Not many people, I don't want to say no one's ever, but not many people are going to go back and rewatch a lot of the things from Phase 4. Phase 4, a lot of it just does not have a lot of rewatchability. So like I said, we've talked about that many times. And from what I can surmise from some of the things that we've heard from Kevin Feige and some of the things that we've heard from some of the other things just from leakers and scoopers out there, it looks like there's some course correction that's being made behind the scenes. And one of the questions that a lot of people have been asking is, how are Marvel Studios going to fare in 2023? And I've even seen individuals on Twitter, I think you guys have even said over here when we've talked about it before, like that a lot of you still aren't as pumped for the current slate for 2023. The current slate for 2023 doesn't have a lot of people excited. And I've seen these conversations happening on Twitter. Like I said, I think you guys, even in the chat, I think even us over here, we've had those conversations, because there are some things on that 2023 slate that I'm really hyped for. And there are some things that I'm like, I'm not really hyped for that. And again, I think you can make that argument with any phase 1, 2, or 3, So, but that's been the question that I've been seeing, is how are they going to fare in 2023? Because it looks like in 2024, looks like it's going to be a pretty stacked slate. The things that are coming out that we've reviewed in 2024 that are going to be coming, looks like it's going to be a pretty stacked slate, other than, opposed to the things that we're going to be getting in 2023. This is coming from the Marvel Studios subreddit, and this is what they had to say here today. They go on to say, it starts with Red Hulk, and there's several different ones here that we're going to touch on all of them, but it starts with Red Hulk. It says, a source has informed us that Marvel has made concept art showing Harrison Ford's Red Hulk dressed in attire similar to Bruce Banner's Joe Fixit alternate scene in the pages of The Incredible Hulk. We do not know what project this concept art was created for, nor if it means the Red Hulk will become Joe Fixit or simply dress like him as an Easter egg, but the concept art is said to be meant for a film. So, for those that don't know, I'm show this picture here of Joe Fixit. Joe Fixit is more like he's an enforcer for the mob. He's intelligent. I don't think that they're going to be making Red Hulk Joe Fixit. I don't think that at all. But when we've talked about Red Hulk in the past over here, one of the things that I've talked about is I wonder if one of the things I often wondered when talking about the Red Hulk was if Marvel Studios were going to reveal who he was. Because in the comics, when Red Hulk was introduced in 2008, no one knows who he is. It's some time before his identity is revealed as Thunderbolt Ross. At the time of his introduction, he's just Red Hulk, and his identity is a mystery. And that was something I was wondering if Marvel Studios was going to do. But what it seems like they're kind of the route that they're going to be going with things for Marvel Studios is that it looks like they are probably going to take a different route with Harrison Ford's Red Hulk, where he's going to be possibly addressing the nation as Red Hulk, President Red Hulk, but dressed like, I think he's going to reveal himself as Red Hulk to the MCU. He's going to be addressing the nation as President Thunderbolt Ross, but as Red Hulk in presidential attire. And I think that kind of fits the Joe Fixit look. I think whatever concept art they're seeing for Red Hulk and the Joe Fixit thing, I think it just has to do with, we're going to be seeing Red Hulk as President Red Hulk, but in that attire. I definitely don't think that they're going to be making him Joe Fixit. They're definitely not going to be going this concept with him. At least I don't think so. I think if he is going to be President Red Hulk, Thunderbolt Ross, then his identity is going to be revealed to everyone of who he is. More than likely, this is just my theory. I could be completely off, but he's more than likely going to reveal his identity to everyone, let everyone know that he is Thunderbolt Ross, but he is also the Red Hulk, but he is also President Thunderbolt Ross, aka the Red Hulk, and he'll be addressing the nation as such. And honestly, it sounds fun. If you really want to, get into it, it sounds like that could be something that could be really fun to watch. Imagine Harrison Ford's Red Hulk addressing the nation, or whatever things it is he's going to be doing as the president of the United States. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the president the United States and the MCU needs, but he is going to be, I'm sure he's going to be twisted. He's going to have his own motives, his own agenda, things that he's trying to accomplish, things that he can accomplish that he probably couldn't accomplish as General Thunderbolt Ross, but he can accomplish as President Thunderbolt Ross. So that's kind of what's going on there with some of the things with Thunderbolt Ross and Red Hulk. But then it goes on, I'll minimize that one. But then it goes on to say, this is for World War Hulk. Now, World War Hulk, we've talked about at length before as well, but this is what they had to say here. World War Hulk is moving forward as a movie, and this is something we've discussed. At first we heard it was going to be a special. We had even heard, before the specials, we had heard they were going to be adapting it into a series, and then a lot of us wondered at that time, how the hell do you adapt World War Hulk into a series? But we had our questions, we had our conversations about it then. Then we heard it was going to be possibly be adapted into a special. Well, now it's looking like it's going to be moving forward into a movie, which is something we all, decided when we heard about the series and special, that was going to be the best route for them to go with it anyway, for it to be a movie and not a series or special. Then it goes on to say Liv Tyler is in talks to return as Betty Ross, and this is actually something else we have talked about. I want to say we talked about it maybe last week or the week before about Liv Tyler coming back as Betty Ross, and not just as Betty Ross, but possibly as the Red She-Hulk. This is something that was rumored last week when they were talking about her showing up in, I believe it was New World Order. So with Liv Tyler, but these are both things we've known. All right, this is not new. This is, at least if you've been over here, these are both things that we've talked about, and it's not new. But the only thing that is new here is that both of these leaks are linked together. This is, again, not something that's ever been linked together. We've seen World War Hulk talked about, and from other scoopers. We've seen Liv Tyler returning to the MCU talked about from other scoopers, but we've never seen both of these leaks linked up together, talking about what's going to be going on. That World War Hulk is going to be a movie, and possibly that Liv Tyler is going to be returning as Betty Ross in the film. So like I said, that just to me indicates that Liv Tyler will probably be coming back in the World War Hulk film. And like I said, again, we've talked about it at length, but I think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be what we thought World War Hulk is going to be. It's not, we've said before, how do you do this with, World War Hulk? In World War Hulk, is Hulk going to be reverted back to Savage Hulk and things like that? We've also talked about how do you do World War Hulk without some of these heroes that are needed for World War Hulk, for the events of World War Hulk to be pushed forward for that to make sense. Well, as we've talked about before, the MCU is the MCU, and they do their adaptations of their versions of these stories. So it does not look like World War Hulk is going to be what we originally thought it was going to be at all. I think World War Hulk is going to be what we originally thought New World Order was going to be. If you remember, before the changes and the rewrites for New World Order had multiple Hulks plural, in it, not singular, plural, had multiple Hulks. And at that time, we were hearing that they were going to be adapting their version of World War Hulk within New World Order. Because if you remember at the time, we were also wondering, well, how the hell are you doing that? Because then you're taking away from Sam Wilson's Captain America. It's no longer a Captain America film. We're all going to be focused on the things going on with the multiple Hulks. Well, I think that that is what they are going to be doing with the World War Hulk film. Do I like it? No, I don't. But I think that the MCU is going to be doing that. And I don't like it because, everything that they did with She-Hulk and things like that. Now, could some of that stuff, depending on who's writing it, depending on the tone, could it be, could you change some things with Jennifer Walters She-Hulk? Of course you could. But the main thing here is we've got to get Savage Hulk back. And I'm not talking taco serving, flannel wearing, I want to talk to you about your day Hulk. I'm talking about Savage Hulk coming in and fucking shit up. That's what we've got to see. We've got to see Savage Hulk back. So we're likely not going to get the World War Hulk storyline that we're all akin to. We're likely not going to get the whole Sakaar storyline. We're likely not going to get the whole, the Illuminati involvement in it. We're not going to get where Hulk, was put under a spell and then goes crazy. We're not going to get any of those things. It looks like it's going to be more so their version of it, and it's going to involve multiple Hulks. And I'm hoping he either Savage Hulk reverts back to Savage Hulk before, not hoping, he needs to revert back to Savage Hulk before that film. We don't need him reverting back to Savage Hulk during that film. It needs to be before. So when we step into whatever their version of World War Hulk is going to be, we're stepping into something that is exciting, something that's going to get people's asses in the seat. Again, flannel wearing, taco serving Hulk is not doing it for anybody. I think we've all, we tolerated it in Endgame. We've tolerated it in some of these other things and things like that, but it's getting to the point now where it's beating a dead horse and the joke is no longer funny, if it ever was. And I can't speak for everyone else, but myself, I want to see Savage Hulk back. I'm sick of this other stuff that they're doing. So that is what I'm assuming that they're going to be doing with the World War Hulk film. I don't think it's going to be, again, what we're used to and akin to. It's going to be the World War Hulks type of storyline that we were hearing was going to be adapted into New World Order. So take that with a grain of salt, but that is what I'm thinking is going on right now. So we'll move on here to the next one, and that looks like that's going to be Thunderbolts. And this one's pretty short. It just says, Songbird will be in Thunderbolts, and it says Sadie Sink will be looked at for the role. Which, when I saw this yesterday, I got pretty excited for it because I like Sadie Sink. I think Sadie Sink is a great actress. I love the stuff that she does. Obviously, she's Max in Stranger Things, but she also plays in 1980. I believe that's one she's in, 1980 on Netflix. It's a Netflix film. It's a series of films that takes place in different years and things. I believe she's in the 1980s one, and that's a really good one. There's a murderer. It's a good movie, and like I said, I believe that she is in it. However, I do think that she's a great choice. For just a little backstory here, Songbird being Melissa Gold, who was at one point a part of the New Masters, I believe. The Masters of Evil. She's a part of the Masters of Evil under Zemo. She's a part of the Masters of Evil under Zemo, but then, there was at one point in time herself and some of the other Masters, or New Masters, disguised themselves as the Thunderbolts. That's where she adopted the name Songbird, because at first she was like Screamer or something like that. I believe she was Screamer before she adapted the name of Songbird. So having her involved with the Thunderbolts, it's akin to the comics. So I think that's really cool that we're going to see her. So that kind of amps that excitement that we might even be seeing Zemo in Thunderbolts, even though he was not announced at D23. There was that whole thing that his name was in the URL for the Thunderbolts website. I believe it was something involving the Thunderbolts on a Marvel website. His name was in the URL, which kind of hinted that to some people theorized that Zemo's still going to be involved some way or another. As we've talked about when we talk about the Thunderbolts over here, we don't know how you do Zemo without the Thunderbolts anyway, or how you do the Thunderbolts without Zemo anyway. So it seems like, I'm hoping they kind of adapt some of that story there to where, Zemo is still involved with Songbird, and maybe before, he's the one that does save her. It's not just him, it's him and Fixer, things like that. So it would be really interesting to see Sadie Sink come in and don the role of Melissa Gold Songbird. So that's all that's really going on there with Songbird. But then it goes on to Vision Quest. And this is what they have to say about Vision Quest. And again, most of these things we've talked about most of these things. Vision Quest is one of them. It says Vision Quest will introduce Viv, Vision's daughter. The show will set up the Young Avengers. Now, we've not talked about Viv. Now this is new. Now that's new to me. That the Viv showing up, that's new to me. But the Young Avengers thing, we've talked about that when we talked about Vision Quest, when it was kind of announced from the scoopers a couple months back. Now this whole thing with Viv, that is on par with the Young Avengers, and just because. Who is it in the Young Avengers? It's Jonas, isn't it? Jonas, is that the name of the rebooted Vision? I think it's Jonas. They're probably going to take Viv and make her the Jonas of the group. Because we know that Vision Quest is going to be adapting the Young Avengers. We know that Kang Dynasty is going to... Well, here's the thing. We know Vision Quest, Coven of Chaos, and Kang Dynasty are all going to introduce something up with the Young Avengers. So Vision Quest is probably going to introduce or set up the Young Avengers, rather, is what they're saying. We know that Agatha Coven of Chaos, from things that we've heard, are also going to set up if not introduce more of the Young Avengers, maybe even form the team. Maybe not form the team, because we've heard that the events of Coven of Chaos are going to bleed into Kang Dynasty, and that Kang Dynasty is going to be adapting some of Children's Crusade, and I forget the other. I think it's Kang. It's the oh fuck, I forget what the other comic is they're adapting there, but we've heard that some of the others are, or one of them is Children's Crusade. It's going to be adapted into Kang Dynasty. So that kind of lines up with some of the things that we've heard. And like I said, even with the things that we've heard with the Young Avengers, with Vision and Vision Quest and things like that, this is going to be Vision going on a self-discovery journey, trying to figure out who he is, what he is, and things like that. And then maybe even starting that family that in the comics, because I've seen people posting on Twitter, I want to see with certain Vision comics, and it's that the particular one with him and his family, the cover art of him and his family. I've seen people saying, I want to see this storyline with Vision. Vision Quest might be adapting even some of that. If we're going to get Viv, his daughter, there might be something where Vision goes off and lives a life, where we're watching Vision kind of, go again on that quest of self-discovery, where we see him kind of go off and live a life, and he has his android, wife, daughter, and son, and things like that. So having Viv introduced and things like that, and again with the Young Avengers, that's kind of what we know here about Vision Quest and things like that. And again, some of these things we kind of already knew. Now the Nova is next, and Nova is going to be a movie, not a special. We've talked about Nova as well. I don't think we put a video out, but we did talk about it, and it was that we speculated that Nova was going to be a special and not a series or a movie. And it says here that sources believe Nova is going to be a passing of the torch. So, if it's going to be a passing of the torch, that means that we are more than likely it's going to be Richard Rider is going to be passing the torch down to Sam Alexander, which means we're probably not going to get a whole bunch of Richard Rider, which kind of sucks. I know when talking about Nova, that's the name everybody's always going for, Richard Rider. I personally like both Richard Rider or Sam Alexander, so I'm not too upset about a passing of the torch thing, but I would like to see a lot of Richard Rider. I don't know if that's really what they're going to be doing, showing us a lot of them, but if it's a passing of the torch type film, I would imagine the main focus is going to be on Sam Alexander, as he's going to be the Nova we are going to be riding with moving forward in the MCU. So that's kind of what's going on there with Nova. But then they go on to talk about the Wong series. And Wong series is inspired by Strange Academy, a Wong-centric show that includes America Chavez. Zelma Stanton, who debuts in Ironheart, should be in the show also. So, this could be really fun and interesting with Wong, with him being the Sorcerer Supreme, with him being the Sorcerer Supreme in the MCU currently, and everything going on with the cosmic magic and everything just going on with magic in general in the MCU right now. It could be really fun. Now, I know you might be thinking, like Darius, that doesn't really, maybe you are thinking it sounds fun, but maybe you're one of the ones thinking, because I've seen this conversation, some people saying, why are we getting this? It sounds dumb. This is not something we need. Sounds like that same Phase 4 type formula. But listen, if I'm looking at this, I'm looking at if I had to choose between a Echo series or a Wong series, I'm going to go with the Wong series. An Echo series has what's the draw to the Echo series? What's the draw? That she's, and I'm not trying to say, when I say this, I'm not trying to be funny, that she's deaf. and there's nothing wrong with that. She's a deaf, legless superhero. And in the comics, she is dope. Now, don't get me wrong, Echo's dope. But the way the MCU introduced her in Hawkeye, there's no draw for me as a viewer of Echo, as what you showed me in Echo, that makes me want to go tune in to a 6 to 9 week long series and watch Echo. Now, on the other hand, you throw a Wong series that has all types of cosmic shit going on, magic involved. You've got America Chavez involved. That means we get to dive deeper into America Chavez and her involvement within the MCU and what that's going to mean moving forward. And I'm sure she's going to be a part of the Young Avengers and things like that, opposed to an Echo series or even a Wonder Man series. What's the draw to a Wonder Man series? You guys have to know. We've talked about that too. Wonder Man is not going to be centered around Wonder Man. It's going to be setting up a larger thing. They're just using Wonder Man. He's going to be the linchpin that set in his own show. He's going to be the linchpin that sets up something wider that's going to be happening. Possibly even with Wanda. Possibly even with Vision. The love triangle between the three of them. Things like that. You know, he plays a role in Children's Crusade and things. You know, it's just if I'm looking at these shows at face value and I see a Wong-centric series that's going to be inspired by Strange Academy, I'm going with the Wong series. That's just me personally. But, you know, your mileage may vary. I think that the Wong series seems like it could be a lot more interesting. But then we've got Ironheart here. And we've talked about Ironheart, and they really don't say too much shit about Ironheart here. All they say is Mephisto scenes were shot under Agatha Coven of Chaos in December for Ironheart. So it really looks like they're trying to hide this Mephisto stuff from us. But as you know, we all somewhat know what's kind of going on there. You know, some of the things we've heard involving Mephisto are that he's going to show up in Ironheart. He's going to show up in Ironheart, but he's also in Coven of Chaos. And the whole connection with him showing up in Ironheart, because I remember people asking, why the fuck is Mephisto showing up in Ironheart? Well, just from what we've heard as far as rumor, now there's nothing that's confirmed this as of now from Marvel Studios themselves, but just from what we've heard in rumor is that Agatha herself is also going to be making an appearance in Ironheart because she is going to be the mentor to the Hood, but she's also has ties to Mephisto and involvement with Mephisto as to why he's going to be in Agatha Coven of Chaos, as to why he's showing up in Ironheart. Now, what he's showing up in Ironheart to do, I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to see when he, Agatha, and the Hood all show up in this show. We know that it's going to be dealing with magic, though. So Ironheart is one of those shows that I'm not anticipating Ironheart, but I'm curious to see what are you doing with Ironheart? What's the magic elements here with Ironheart? Does Ironheart play a wider role in what's going to be going on? Maybe not in the multiverse saga, but somewhat on that supernatural side, because I'm going to get into some of that stuff here coming up. So that's kind of what's going on with Ironheart. Now let's read here what's going on with New World Order. Nothing really here. Nothing really here either, other than the things that we've already, well, there's nothing here, even the things we've discussed previous to this. There's nothing really here, but I'll read what they're saying. They said the Department of Damage Control reportedly has presence in Captain America New World Order. That's really it. I mean, there's nothing else. But I do have a theory, and this has been my theory since No Way Home. I've said since No Way Home, and I could be completely wrong here. That's why they call it a theory. This is just, it's fun. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to have your own type of ideas and things like that. And this is just my fun little theory. I've said since No Way Home that I thought Agent Cleary was going to be a Skrull, and I still believe that. You know, with if with the events of New World Order, from what we've heard, kind of going to have a toll or effect on Secret Invasion, or maybe it's the other way around. Secret Invasion going to be bleeding into New World Order. Maybe I think that that's the way it is. Secret Invasion is 2023, right? I believe is. Yes, Secret Invasion is May of 2023, and it looks like New World Order is not going to be till 2024. So the events of Secret Invasion bleeding into New World Order, in knowing who's a Skrull and who's not a Skrull and things like that, I believe that Agent Cleary is going to be a Skrull. If you remember in No Way Home, he was the only one that knew that Nick Fury was off-world. Peter didn't even know that. And I'm not saying that Peter and Nick Fury have this like buddy-buddy relationship, like, hey, what are you doing type of, you up type of relationship. But Peter being an Avenger, not knowing that Nick Fury's off-world, because when Cleary told Nick Fury he's off-world, or when Fury told Spider-Man or Peter he's off-world, Peter looked really confused and shocked. And there's just certain other things, even in Ms. Marvel, that I just was kind of like, I'm something just off about Agent Cleary. I don't know, but Possibly. Again, my theory could be completely wrong, but I think if damage control is possibly involved, and that being involved with Secret Invasion, possibly Agent Cleary is a Skrull. And that's, again, my theory. If I'm wrong, I'm just wrong. But I've had that since No Way Home. So we're going to move here to the MCU future. And then it says, now this is where it kind of gets wild. This is the stuff going on in the future. Everybody still here with me? Everybody still going on? We're all still having fun? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have the chat up to where I can see it. On my screen, I have the subreddit to where I'm reading it. So I want to make sure everybody's still with us. Everybody's still understanding what's going on here. So yeah, we're going to be moving on to the next thing. Next thing is going to be the MCU schedule changes. Now, buckle up on this one. This is what we got. All right. First one. Or not schedule changes. MCU future. Sorry. We're going to get to schedule changes right after this. But MCU future. First one is this. Midnight Suns is a movie. This is coming from the Marvel Studios subreddit. If you're just joining in and you haven't been here since we started reading the subreddit, Marvel Studios subreddit has been on it since, day one. They have not really missed that I've seen. They were accurate on Wakanda Forever. They were accurate on Multiverse of Madness, accurate on No Way Home, Thor Love and Thunder. They've been pretty accurate on everything that they've been saying thus far when it comes to what's going on in the MCU. So when they say things, it's kind of akin to when My Time to Shine Hello says things, because again, there's not really many times you can point out where they've been inaccurate. So they said Midnight Suns is a movie. Now, I believe that this is quite possibly true, because as we start to get more into the magic element of the MCU, like I said, it looks like Ironheart's going to be adapting some of that magic. We know that Covenant of Chaos is going to be heavy on the dark magic. I'm wondering if we could see this taking place in Blade, or maybe a Doctor Strange and Clea type thing. Like, how are the Midnight Suns going to be getting set up? Because like I said, we're moving to that darker side of the MCU, the supernatural side. And it looks like, just from conversations I've seen and conversations we've even had over here, that more people are excited for the supernatural side of the MCU than they are when it comes to the multiverse side of the MCU. Because right now, the multiverse side of the MCU has not been as exciting as we've all wanted it to be, I don't know. Maybe for you, Multiverse of Madness was great. I'm not going to sit here and say Multiverse of Madness is bad, because I don't think it's a bad film. But it's definitely not in like my top 5. I think for because of Wanda, it's in my top 10. But it's not in my top 5 type of films. And it didn't touch on the multiverse the way I wanted it to touch on the multiverse. I feel like we only were in the multiverse when we were in 838, in the minute and 50 seconds, I believe, that we jumped through the different universes with America Chavez and Doctor Strange. So it really hasn't been heavy on that multiversal side. People are confused about what's going on. The MCU, we know that we're moving toward Kang, that Kang is the end game here, but we don't know how we're getting there. There are things that just still aren't making sense. Things that we're hoping are going to be made clear to us in 2023. But as of now, supernatural side of the MCU seems to be vastly more interesting. A lot of people really enjoyed Werewolf by Night out of Phase 4. Werewolf by Night, I thought, and some of my co-hosts also thought, that it was great. It was something that out of Phase 4, it was a breath of fresh air. It was like, looking at She-Hulk, looking at Miss Marvel, even though I liked Miss Marvel, looking at Moon Knight, even though I liked Moon Knight, looking at Eternals. After the 16th watch, I can enjoy Eternals. But you're looking at all of these things that, again, are lackluster, and then you get to Werewolf by Night and you're like, damn, that was really good. So I don't blame people for being more excited about the supernatural side of things than they currently are for the multiversal side of things. But I'm wondering again if Blade could be, if we could see that being established in Blade, if we're going to see that being established maybe with Doctor Strange and Clea, where are we going to be seeing the Midnight Suns start to be established? So I'm pretty interested in that one. Been interested in that since day one of talking Midnight Suns. But the next thing that they're talking about for the MCU future, this one I could give a shit about, and it is the Serpent Society and how they're going to be showing up in future projects. Now, if you remember, we talked before New World Order made all the changes that they made to making New World Order what it is today with the new rumors and leaks we've heard about it. If you remember, take yourself back maybe 2 or 3 months ago, New World Order, the original leaks were that the Serpent Society were going to be involved. That the Serpent Society was going to be the group that Sam, not just Sam, but Moon Knight and Bucky. Yes, bro, these were the rumors. These were the rumors about 2-3 months ago. It was going to involve Moon Knight, it was going to involve Bucky, and it was going to involve Sam taking on the Serpent Society. Now, that would have looked extremely weird to me, I was trying to figure it out then. Like, how do you throw Moon Knight in with Bucky and Sam? But, I mean, okay, it might be interesting. But the Serpent Society, out of everything, the Serpent Society, bro, I'm going to be honest with you. The Serpent Society, again, your mileage may vary. For me, the Serpent Society doesn't excite me at all in the comics. So for them to say that the Serpent Society is going to show up in future projects, I could give a damn. And if you want me to give a damn, you're going to have to show me why the Serpent Society is exciting in the MCU. What's the draw? Just like with Echo and Wonder Man, what's the draw to Serpent Society? What's the draw to seeing the villainous group, the Serpent Society, in a film? Like, what, you know, they're gonna have to show me that the Serpent Society is interesting enough to even do something like that. But then, hold on, let me make sure I'm here on this. Make sure I have this right. But then we move to the next thing here. The next thing is going to be Ms. Marvel Season 2 and Moon Knight Season 2 will both premiere before Avengers Secret Wars. Now, I'm assuming that what we know about the Marvels, and it being the first time we're going to be seeing an incursion take place within the MCU on screen. For those of you that don't know, again, maybe you're just tuning in, maybe you've not heard me say this before, you've not seen the leak. But from the Marvels leak that we've discussed before, seems like that's going to be our first look at incursions in the MCU. We're going to see incursions take place within the MCU during the Marvels film. It's going to take place during midway in the Marvels film. It's going to have something to do with Kamala Khan's bangles. Kamala Khan's bangles are going to cause an incursion in the film, and during that incursion, at the same time, I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Let me pull that up to make sure I'm saying this correctly, because this is in a different. This is from the leak here, and I don't want to inaccurately say this. So let me get that correct here. So it says that the incursion is going to be caused by Kamala Khan's bangles, and the death of He Who Remains, Kang, after entering through the quantum realm, will collide worlds. Then it says, Entering through the quantum realm will collide worlds, possibly bringing more legacy characters / variants back before Secret Wars. Now, with this series and Moon Knight series possibly taking place, or not possibly, but taking place before Secret Wars, like I said, I can imagine that Kamala Khan's presence is going to be important. Not just her presence, but the bangles. And we know that Kamala Khan's bangles are in relation to Kang the Conqueror. Those are things that we've seen from. Just things that we've seen from the Ant-Man trailer, the first Ant-Man trailer, and everybody's seeing the bangles, or it looked like even the 10 rings going around in the trailer and things like that. The art on some of Kang's stuff matches some of the art from the Eternals, also matching some of the things from Kamala Khan's bangles and the 10 rings and things like that. So all three of those things we know do connect there. We're also hearing that Season 2 will premiere before Secret Wars, and I assume she's going to be really important moving forward with Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, but not just that. It says that Moon Knight is also going to be taking place, or Season 2 of Moon Knight is going to premiere before Secret Wars. Now, if you remember, take yourself back to Moon Knight. If you remember, during Moon Knight, when the little boy that Mark Spector had by the tie, I think it was a tie, he had him by his tie or something like that, and they were fighting, he was fighting those thugs on top of the rooftop, but then the little boy came up, and Khonshu had Mark Spector grab him, and he told him, I think he said something like drop him off the edge or something like that, but the kid said something in Egyptian, then cut the tie and let himself die. If you remember, on the back of his jean jacket, a lot of people theorize that the person on the back of his jean jacket was Rama Tut. So, knowing that Rama Tut is Kang the Conqueror, knowing that Kang the Conqueror has ties to Egypt and Moon Knight, and not to Moon Knight himself, but has ties to Egypt, and Moon Knight being tied to Egypt as well, obviously with the pantheon of gods from Egypt involving Khonshu and things like that, we could be seeing something where they tie in Rama-Tut, Kang the Conqueror, a variant of Kang the Conqueror in season 2 of Moon Knight, because I just don't see why the rush to push out a Miss Marvel season 2 or a Moon Knight season 2 without it before Secret Wars, without it connecting to Secret Wars in some way, without us diving deeper into maybe Kamala Khan's bangles and what if her bangles are causing incursions and things like that, what that means, and it being connected to Kang, with Moon Knight being in Egypt, and again the pantheon of gods being connected to Egypt and things like that, knowing that Rama-Tut, that Kang the Conqueror went back in time and conquered Egypt as Rama-Tut. It seems like a lot of these connections could be being made there. Now again, that could just be me over hyping it as a big fan, big nerd person like that, but at the same time, it seems like the connections are there. But again, it could just be me giving the MCU way too much credit. But I think that could be something that they're doing if they're pushing these two series out before Secret Wars, because again, I just don't see the rush to do that if it's not going to connect. But the last thing here is the MCU schedule changes, and these are things that have been pushed back or changed. So the first one, it says Marvel Studios has made major shifts on their schedule. What If Season 2 is now releasing in 2024? I'm not a big What If comic fan. So I wasn't a big fan of the show. I really was not digging the animation style. After I watched it, I kind of eased into the animation style, but it wasn't really something I was like, I really love this animation style. But not only that, I said, what if we don't do this? What if we do a different project? What if we do something, why what if when What If Season 1 had no ramifications into the wider things in the multiverse like we thought it was? The Peggy Carter from Multiverse of Madness is not the Peggy Carter from What If. Some of the things, the Doctor Strange story that we all thought was going to tie into Multiverse of Madness just simply did not. There were a lot of things that we wanted from What If that just did not tie into the overall MCU. So what they're doing with the pushing it back to 2024, I'm not sure, nor do I really care. Like I said, I'm not looking for What If Season 2. I'm not looking for this next one either. I just talked about it. Echo is now going to be releasing in 2024. And I think the reason Echo is going to be releasing in 2024 is because it seems like Echo seems to be on par with the original formula for Phase 4. Like that lackluster quality over quality type of thing there. And I think with them pushing it back, maybe they're pushing Echo back to kind of juice Echo up, to kind of get people, interested in wanting to see Echo, because as of right now, I mean, put a 1 in the chat if you're looking for Echo. I mean, I don't think anybody's really looking for Echo, but I could be wrong. Maybe there's a plethora of Echo fans out there that are waiting diehard waiting for this film or this series to drop. But I think the reason Echo's been pushed back is either because they looked at Echo in its current inception and said, nah, this just ain't it. Because we've already got people that are saying this or that about Phase 4. And if we release this, and it's still on par with that same Phase 4 thinking, it could be one of those things where, again, it's no views, a waste of time, a waste of money on Marvel Studios' parts, etc., etc. So it could be one of those things where they're reworking the Echo series. And I think that's the same thing that's going on with this here. It says Agatha Coven of Chaos will release after Daredevil Born Again, likely in 2025. I'm okay with this. With it being one of my most anticipated series, I'm okay with this. And the reason I'm okay with this is because how big this series is going to be from the things that we've heard. Some of the things that the series is going to do, it's going to push the narrative forward in Kang Dynasty. It's going to be adapting, that Children's Crusade storyline and moving it into Kang Dynasty. We know that Billy Kaplan, Joe Locke, is going to be playing Billy Kaplan. Even though they haven't announced that from Marvel, the rumor is that he's going to be playing Billy Kaplan, and that we are going to be seeing Wiccan, our version of Wiccan, older version of Wiccan, in Agatha Coven of Chaos. We know that Mephisto, Sacha Baron Cohen's Mephisto, is going to be involved in Agatha Coven of Chaos. We know that a lot of people from WandaVision, or even Elizabeth Olsen herself, is rumored to make an appearance in Agatha Coven of Chaos. So with it being adapting Children's Crusade and whatever it's going to be doing there with Kang and the darker supernatural side of things in the MCU, I think it coming out in 2025, knowing that Kang Dynasty is coming out in 2025, makes the most sense. Instead of it coming out in 2023, then we have to, however Agatha Coven of Chaos ends. Think about it. If it ends in a way that hypes us up for Kang Dynasty, I'd rather it come out in 2025. That way Kang Dynasty comes out in 2025. So that way that kind of just bleeds together rather than us seeing it in 2023, having to wait the rest of 2023, wait a whole year in 2024, then seeing the payoff in 2025 with Kang Dynasty. I'd rather see it be pushed back in Kang Dynasty or pushed back to 2025 to match up with Kang Dynasty. But not only that, also because whatever they're doing with these pushbacks, they're reworking things. They're looking at things and they're saying, this ain't big enough. This isn't juice enough. This is not what, Feige's looking at some of these things and saying, no, it needs to go harder. We need to dive deeper into lore. We need to get people more excited. We need to get asses in the seats. We need to get people back on the MCU train. I think that's what we're seeing with a lot of these pushbacks. I'm going to say this. Last thing I'll say about this, because that's the last thing about the MCU future thing, because that's really it. They kind of go into the description for the Ant-Man trailer that we're going to be seeing tonight from the football game. I said this when Kevin Feige came out and talked about Secret Wars at D23, or SDCC rather. When we started seeing a lot of the things changing and things getting pushed back, I said, I do not think, and I still do not think, and I think it's going to be later announced. I do not think Secret Wars is coming out in 2026. I believe Secret Wars is going to come out in 2027. It's just too big of a film that they're still trying to get pieces together on. They're still trying to make, everything we've been talking about when it comes to the leaks of Secret Wars. We've been talking about, we've heard this, we've heard that. How does this match up with this? How does this match up with that? I think it's going to be such a massive film that they're going to have to push certain things back. I mean, we've seen the pushbacks with series. I don't think it's out of the question to say that Secret Wars is possibly going to get pushed back to 2027. Again, I have no inside information, but that's just what I think there. So those are the things going on with the most recent leak from the Marvel Studios subreddit on, of course, on Reddit. You can check them out. You can read through some of these leaks if you want. I'm not going to read through the trailer leak for the Ant-Man trailer that we're going to see because, like I said, we're going to see it. So I'm not going to read through that one. But all of these other things are pretty, I would assume, are pretty accurate just based on their track record with other things that they've discussed in the past. So my question is always for you guys. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys are thinking about some of these things going on with the Marvel Studios subreddit and some things we're hearing about Vision Quest, about Midnight Suns, about what were some of the other things that were there? About Midnight Suns, Ironheart, the Wong series, Nova, Thunderbolts, adding Sadie Sink's Songbird, World War Hulk, and how it's going to be possibly adapting Hulks instead of a World War Hulk. Red Hulk, and how looks like President Thunderbolt Ross's Red Hulk is going to be revealing himself as Red Hulk and possibly addressing the nation as Red Hulk. Just a bunch of different things going on here. So let me know all your thoughts on these subjects down below.